Hello, and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and seasoned fans alike. My name is Shannon. I'm one of the hosts of this program, and our other host is joining us through some wires from Texas. Angelica, say hello.
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 How's it going?
It's good. I'm sad that you're far away, but I see you on a screen. That's worth something.
I'm here.
So this week we've got a lot to talk about. Last week we talked about solo artists who had always been solo, debuted solo and stayed that way. And this week we're going to be talking about what I think is like one of the most interesting thing about K-pop is that people who are in idol groups can put out solo albums without leaving said group. It's not like in the case of NSYNC or whatever, Justin Timberlake goes solo and now the group is dead. Like, you know, people can put out a solo album and then come back with their group a couple months later. And I think it's really neat.
Yeah, I love that about K-pop. I think it's really cool because it gives the artists, I think, an opportunity to sort of like explore different sides of themselves and like different, you know, sort of like experiment with different things that maybe they wouldn't get a chance to do as a group. But then also like for the fans, you know, you don't have to lose your group if one of them has sort of like individual creative aspirations.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get into it. And I'm going to just put it out there right now that like we're probably going to we might very well leave out your favorite solo debut because there are so many of these things. Like it happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably just going to be talking about people that like made a huge impact on the music scene, or they're just the ones that we like best.
Yeah,
again,
so this will definitely
podcast.
be like a biased episode. Deal with it.
And also, we're going to be talking about way more girls than boys because like a theme of this episode I want to get out right now is that female solo artists are the baddest bitches around. Like they're all amazing. So
as soon as you said that, I was like, wait, because what we did was we picked 10 artists and we split them up. But like when I did I only researched one girl. So I hope that you researched all of them because I only researched one. Shannon gave me all the boys.
Oops, I didn't mean to. I have one boy in my category. I'm sorry, but.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we got to start. We'll get started. So the first person that we're going to talk about is Lee Hyori, and she was in the group Finkel, which we brought up in our
first generation episode.
Yes. So in 2003, she made her solo debut with this song called 10 Minutes, and it is a bop. Like all of you should stop the podcast and go listen to this song because like it's super good. It's like so perfectly 2003, and the music video is styled exactly like which J-Lo video. Like, is it more like I'm Real or is it more like Jenny from the Block? But it's like the same. It's pretty similar.
I think it's a little bit more like it's 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna pull it up right now just to confirm. But I'm pretty sure it's a little bit more like Jenny from the Block. Yeah. This is way more like Jenny from the Block. She's wearing that like strapless jersey dress.
Yes.
Yeah. And she has like the shiniest of makeup.
Yes, that super in 2003, like that like really iridescent, like very
iridescent, like pink eyeshadow and like shiny pink blush and like just hair, like highlights.
Straightened, like as straight as you can make your hair. Like she was really on top of all of the trends. And because of this, like she blew up in 2003. Like it was immediately a huge success. And 2003 was dubbed like the year of Hyori, and people called like her popularity Hyori syndrome. Like everyone was like she'd made everyone sick, like with her. Like awesome. But her whole thing, and it's always been that she's like aggressively sexy. Like that has always from the jump been like her mark on the K-pop world, is that she's like a super sexy solo artist.
Yeah, and she does it really well too. She dances all by herself. Or, I mean, not all by herself. She has like backup dancers and stuff. But it's a little bit different style than she had with her girl group Finkel. But she is slightly different from some of the other solo like breakout artists that we're going to talk about today, because she as a solo artist has kind of become like more well established and successful than her as a girl group member.
Yes, definitely. I would agree. Like Finkel definitely had an impact on the music scene in that early first generation, but I feel like as like an icon of style and music and whatever, like Hyori's done much more than the group ever did.
And Hyori is still to this day a solo artist, isn't she? Like, doesn't she continue to put out music?
Yeah, she put out her sixth studio album in July 2017. So
yeah. But Finkel hasn't done anything for like years.
No, because they were, I think when they looked them up, they've been on like official hiatus for 10 years or something. Like they never disbanded, but like they've been a thing forever. But yeah, she's 39 years old and still killing it. And I like love her early stuff, and she's had lots of hits and always just been like a sexy superstar. So that's the best. And I don't know what happened like between 2003 and like 2008, but exactly the same as in our last episode, I have nobody to talk about between 2003 and 2008. Like what happened? I don't know. But like
between 2003 and 2008,
there were like no solo solo artists debuting. I don't get it.
I don't know.
But next is from super popular boy band, take over the world boy band Big Bang, is Taeyong.
That was one of mine. I did him.
He made his debut.
I researched him. Let me rephrase.
That's a good clarification. He made his solo debut in 2009.
Yes. Well, actually, technically it was 2008.
Yeah. I had for him and G-Dragon, I put Ish next to their like things because they were doing solo stuff, but it's like their first solo album came out, whatever.
Yeah, so Taeyong's first solo album, his came out in May of 2008. It was called Hot, and it was an EP. G-Dragon was one of the producers of this EP, and R&B was like the main. So Taeyong's solo work is different from Big Bang's. Like we have admitted many times, like we don't really know anything about Big Bang. Like I don't own any of Big Bang's music. Like I'm not a VIP, but I love Taeyong. I love his solo work so much. It's so good. But I found in my research, I learned that he was really disappointed with this first EP because he didn't write any of the songs on it. So like he was just a little disappointed in like, I guess himself or like the overall production of it, that like he didn't have more of a hand in it. But it won like best R&B / soul song and album for his song "Only Look at Me," and that song is really good. It's the music video is very dramatic, where like Taeyong is on the phone with his girlfriend, and she like cancels plans with him, so he goes out with his friends, and then she walks in with a member like on the arm of another member of Big Bang, and so basically the entire music video is like Taeyong going different places, seeing her with a different member of Big Bang, and then like breaking out into like a very dramatic, like sexy body roll dance. Of course. And then he wakes up and it was all a dream.
Oh no! Well,
he wakes up on a park bench in her lap.
I also know that his song like "Wedding Dress" was a big deal, like in just like being like culturally important. I've seen people like write articles about like, oh, when I was like a 13-year-old boy and Wedding Dress came out, like I feel like Taeyong like got me and my pain. 'Cause that's a song, like it's just like a sad breakup song, but in the music video it like appears that Taeyong is possibly getting ready for his own wedding, but you realize at the end of the video that he is playing the piano in the wedding for the wedding of the girl he loves marrying someone else. Oh, it's sad.
That's heartbreaking. He does a lot of heartbreaking stuff. Like I said, his solo style is more R&B, and all of his albums reflect that. He's come out with a couple different albums. He has, 3 full albums. The first one was called Solar. It came out in 2010. Then he had Rise in 2014. And this one, G-Dragon was a producer on it again. But finally, Taeyong had like some writing credits on it. Taeyong started writing his own songs in Solar because he, like I said, he was disappointed with Hot that like he didn't do anything. So Solar, he composed and co-wrote 4 of the songs on that 13-track album. Then Rise came out in 2014, and he again wrote like several of the tracks. But this album was what led him to go to a solo tour. So like Taeyong starts breaking records pretty much immediately because like he was part of Big Bang, and we never have like a hugely successful group that then like one of the artists breaks as a solo. Like when we talked about GD and Top, like as a subunit, they're just wildly popular right off the bat. Rise, his second album in 2014, it went to number 1 immediately. The Eyes, Nose, Lips is a song that we've recommended before, and it was covered by everyone from like other K-pop stars to even Michael Bublé. Did a cover of Eyes, Nose, Lips? Yes, I was very pleased to find that out because I love Michael Bublé in like a very nerdy way.
I love the music video for Eyes, Nose, Lips because it's like a slightly tamer version of like that D'Angelo video. Like,
yes,
there was a video in the early 2000s, if anybody is not familiar, where this R&B artist D'Angelo, I think he's naked and but the camera is like just low enough, and he's spinning very slowly in a circle and singing like so hard, and like the Eyes, Nose, Lips video is very similar. Taeyong has jeans on. He's not naked, but he is pretty
shirtless.
naked.
And I always say, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up because I think like if you like D'Angelo, you will like Taeyong's solo work. Like there's a lot of inspiration there. You could definitely argue. But after he came out with Rise, the album, he went on his solo tour, which was like wildly attended. It went 9 different countries, 16 cities in Asia, and like broke all kinds of records. Then he came out in 2017 with White Knight.
I loved that album.
It's so good. It's so good. Debuted at number 1 on the Billboard World Charts. It led him to his second world tour, where he had 19 cities, including stops in U.S. and Canada. And he really only stopped because now he's in the military.
Yep. Married and in the army now. So we'll see him in 2 years.
Oh, yeah, he got married in January.
But yeah, awesome. Taeyong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's hugely successful as a solo artist. He's sold over like 10 million records. He's one of the best-selling R&B artists in Korea. He gets into trouble every once in a while for some cultural appropriation, but generally controversy-free.
Yeah, generally. Next in our timeline list, I think it's your turn again, because shortly after Taeyong makes his solo debut, so does his bandmate G-Dragon.
Yes. By the end of this podcast, I'm going to know everything about Big Bang, whereas at the beginning I knew absolutely nothing.
See, we're all learning here.
Yeah. G-Dragon, a.k.a. Kwon Ji-young, which I learned G, obviously, like that's just, he just changed it to the letter, but Young means dragon.
Yeah.
So his stage name is just his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's known as the king of K-pop. We've mentioned him before, like, started at the age of 6. He's just been around forever.
He was in there. You can find the videos. He like did this thing on TV where they were like baby Rula. Like remember we talked about.
It was called Little Rura.
Yeah. And you can see like 6-year-old GD like rapping his baby heart out. Like, yeah, he's a star and he's always been a star.
Yeah. But so unlike Tae, I mean, he kind of does a variety of things with his solo work, but he definitely his solo work fits more with like the hip hop style of Big Bang. I'm not as big a fan of G-Dragon's solo work as I am of Taeyong's. But anyway, he debuted as a solo artist in August 2009 with the album Heartbreaker, which came out on his 21st birthday. Sony initially actually accused G-Dragon of plagiarism when this album came out because they claimed that the song Heartbreaker and Butterfly were ripoffs of Flo Rida's Right Round and Oasis's She's Electric, respectively. But EMI, which is the company that released both of those songs, said that they didn't find any similarities in them, and so like the charges were dropped. And eventually, Flo Rida was actually featured on G-Dragon's 2010 live album of this tour, because they like wanted to kind of go out of their way to be like, no, there's no plagiarism, like we're cool. Look, G-Dragon and Flo Rida are friends.
Yeah.
So Flo Rida is on the 2010 live album of G-Dragon's Shine a Light concert, which was in December of 2009, the same year that his first solo album came out. Poor G-Dragon, he really gets into trouble a lot because so like his first album got investigated for plagiarism, and then his concert he got investigated for quote obscene performances. Someone claimed that he like did something obscene. He was found innocent and the charges were dropped, but he's just always in trouble. 2010 he debuted with GD and Top. We're not going to talk about that because we already did. Then September 2012, G-Dragon comes out with another solo EP called One of a Kind. And this was kind. Yeah. Yes, this was the highest selling solo album since his original record of Heartbreaker. So he breaks his own record. And then he goes on tour in 2013, a tour of the same name. It's called One of a Kind, and is the first Korean solo. He is the first Korean solo act to hold a 4-dome Japanese tour. The second Korean artist, a solo artist ever to hold a world tour. The first one was Rain. And at the time, this concert tour had a production budget or production cost of $3.5 million, which was at the time the highest production cost of any Korean concert tour ever. So no expenses are spared for G-Dragon.
True.
That was just an EP, but it did lead him to do a world tour. Then to 2013, the very next year, he comes out with a full album called Coup d'etat. This features Missy Elliott. He then goes on, let's see, what else? Oh, and then his most recent album was 2017. It was actually titled Kwon Ji Young. And this we've mentioned when we talked about our albums. That was the one that
came out on the USB, on the bloody
it came out
USB
on the USB drive. And originally the Gone chart refused to recognize it as an album because it didn't come out as a CD. They have since rescinded that, and they do acknowledge it as an album. It did tremendously well. It topped the iTunes charts in 46 different countries, and it led him to do a second world tour, which had 29 cities across 4 continents and is to this day the largest ever world tour by a Korean solo act. So he's repeatedly hailed as, I said this before, but the king of K-pop. Everybody loves G-Dragon. He's hugely successful. He's the face of so many different products. He's the face of Korean tourism. He's an art dealer and has he sets up art exhibits. He does charity. He fucking does everything. He's everywhere.
He apparently, according to the Korean music copyright, where they do the music licensing or whatever, he has over 170 songs credited to him as the writer. So he's that's royalty checks, baby.
Oh, yeah. And he's very, very much in control of his own image and artistry. He is, like I said, Taeyong was upset that he didn't have as big of a hand in his first EP. G-Dragon's never had that problem. G-Dragon has always been the lead writer and composer and creator of his act.
Yeah. I just want to mention one thing before we move on from G-Dragon as what I believe to be an omission from our music video episode. When I was talking about music videos, I had forgotten about this video until it came back up when we were researching this episode. But it's just a really interesting video. The song is called Who You, and the concept of this music video was basically G-Dragon set up a clear apartment. It was a house in an apartment in a clear box. And it had furniture in it or whatever. And then it was in a warehouse, in the middle of a warehouse, a clear apartment. And then he has all of these fans come in and surround the house. And the music video is made up from all of the footage of everybody's cell phone cameras. So the song starts and G-Dragon just does like a single one take of him like performing the song, like running around this clear house. And then they made a music video out of all the footage that everybody got like standing around. It's really cool and the song is
That's
sweet.
so cool.
So like I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, he's very cool with all the things that he's accomplished. I mean, he's a writer and producer and like etc. for himself, but also for a lot of different artists. And he's collaborated with everyone from like K-pop stars to Missy Elliott, MIA, Diplo, Skrillex. Like he's a powerhouse.
Yeah, G-Dragon.
But now he's in the military.
Yep. So again, we'll see you in 2 years, GD. Okay, next on the list.
Don't go to any brothels.
Yeah, be careful. Don't get in any more trouble. Next on the list I have is Jay Park.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Park was in the group 2 p.m. for just a little minute.
Yeah.
And basically the long and the short of it is that after 2 p.m.'s debut, somebody found poor baby Jay Park's like MySpace page from when he was a trainee, and he had written some very teenage boy like diary entries on this MySpace that were just like, I hate Korea, like I want to go home, I hate it here. And then the whole country like turned on him, like, well then you shouldn't be here, go back to America. So he was like removed from 2 p.m. There was like a bit of a year where nobody was sure what was going to happen, and then they officially decided like Jay's out.
Mm-hmm.
And like we mentioned in our like when we were talking about leaders, like 2 p.m. he was the leader, and then 2 p.m. never got a replacement leader.
Yeah, they just decided to go on without a leader when they decided to continue without him.
So then after like he goes home in shame, and it's all very sad. That was in 2009. But what's very interesting is that in 2010, Jay Park was able to YouTube himself back to stardom. He just put up YouTube videos of him singing Bruno Mars songs and such, and they got really popular, and an entertainment company like learned of his whole situation and felt like so bad about everything that like happened in Korea, and were like, we really want to give you another chance. And what ended up being his like big break back into the world is there was a rapper called B.O.B. And he had a song with Bruno Mars at the time that was called Nothing on You, like beautiful girls all over the world, that song.
Oh yeah.
He did a Korean version and had Jay sing the Bruno Mars parts in Korean, and it got released there, and then the like hype started building again, and everybody was like really sorry about it. So then he came back to Korea, and apparently there were just like a record number of people waiting for him at the airport, and all of the news headlines were like, Jay is back. And like, they just like decided to like welcome him back again, which is interesting. But like, I feel like it's hard to put a pin in Jay Park's music. Like, as going through his discography for this episode, it felt like every other video I had to like turn it off in disgust because he either makes like beautiful, like really good R&B songs. He had this song in 2014 called So Good that like could be a Bruno Mars song like perfectly. But then he also has this song called like Body. That's the English title. And the music video is disgusting. Like, women in like thongs shot from that very gross like just look right up their vagina angle, and covered in girls. And he has like another song called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Meet Me in the Hot Tub, and like he's very Western. Like that's kind of the only way.
And he also came back as like, well, I'm gonna be like K-pop's bad boy, and he has like neck tattoos, and I think he even has like a skull tattoo. Like he has a tattoo on his head that you can only see when he has like certain haircuts,
shaved heads. Yeah. So, and I also couldn't find any evidence of him performing on any Korean music shows past about 2015. So I think he has sort of also been like shifting his career more Western. He's in the video, the Charlie XCX Boys video.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, I think he's like trying to make an impact. And like, I think he could have Western success because he like definitely captures, it's not my thing, but that kind of like, ooh, girl, your booty, meet me in the hot tub kind of rap music, like, he makes that,
and he's
people
already
like
American,
it.
so like he can make music in English, no problem.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Jay Park. I kind of don't know what to say about him because I really do feel like every other song, I love it or I hate it. I'm looking at your face on the screen. Are you watching that body video?
Yeah, I am. It is upsetting. This girl's wearing a pair of shorts that's cut like purposefully to show her vagina. It's very ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, this is... Did you just put sushi in her underwear?
Yeah,
Why?
he puts shrimp in her butt crack and then like eats it out. It's super gross.
Ew! I don't want to watch this anymore.
No, turn it off. That's how I felt doing research. I would like watch one and be like, "Oh my god, this is so sweet. This is so good." And then get to the next one and be like, "Ah!" and turn it off. He's really all over the place. But I think that's like an interesting, like, you know, underdog, like come back from like, you know,
From
what
shame.
was at the time like a huge shameful scandal.
Yeah, which is really a shame because like he was just a kid. Like it seems very unfair the way that he was like essentially kicked out of 2 p.m.
For having kid feelings and being like, I'm homesick and I hate it here.
Yeah,
like,
but whatever. He's doing fine now.
He's doing
eating
fine now.
shrimp out of women's underwear.
Oh, Jay Park. There are so many of these, and I know that we are like skipping people. But I'm gonna talk about Hyuna now.
All right.
So in 2011 is the birth
Speaking of butch.
Yes, is the birth of Hyuna as a solo artist, and Hyuna was actually in 2 groups before this. She debuted with the Wonder Girls when she was like 15, and she was only with them for like about a year, but she was really, really sick. She had some horrible thing wrong with her stomach, and she was like rapidly losing weight, and she was very, very ill, and her parents were just like, we're done, and they pulled her out. Like, that's it. No more. Like, she's got to get better. So she left the Wonder Girls, then she debuted with 4 Minute like a year after that, and stayed with 4 Minute until their disbandment. But in 2011, she made her solo debut with this song called Bubble Pop. And it's
Bubble Pop?
Best. Because it is like very like bubblegum pop, but she also like starts her like Hyuna booty thing where like she gets her booty dancing going. And I love Hyuna, and like she gets so much shit.
I know. People love to hate her.
But I think that's like another thing that she has like in that amazing soup. Like there's a reason that like I call her my queen. Like I do think that she is so amazing because she has so much of a hand in all of this stuff. Like it is one of the reasons that people like cited, 4 Minute breaking up is that like that the company liked Hyuna better. Like everyone liked Hyuna better, and like Hyuna wins. But like seeing like her different reality shows and things that she's on, like nobody tells Hyuna what to do. Like nobody does. She has like such a hand in all of her stuff. She has
a very specific vision.
Yes.
For what she wants to be and like what she wants to do with her music. And so like she's going to get it done in the way that she wants to, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. She has written 32 songs for herself and for other groups. So I always think it's really funny, like when people try to project, like it's a weird thing that people try to project onto her sometimes, like, oh no, the evil company is like making her put out this sexy music and she doesn't want to do it. But I don't know where that comes from because she's never said anything like that. And she's obsessed with aesthetic. Like she knows what she wants and she knows how hot she is and she like knows what like looks best on her and she like does it. And there was a thing she said on an episode of the Triple H reality show where she said, I don't like pointless exposure. And a bunch of people, like all the people on the internet were like, oh, if you don't like exposure, then why do you take your top off all the time? And it was like, no. She said pointless, and she doesn't think it's pointless.
So like clearly she has a point.
And she does have a point. And she writes like her last couple of singles have been very like kind of snarky and sort of like poking at the industry. She had a song called Bebe, where the lyrics were just basically talking about how all of these creepy music executives like want women to act like children. Like it starts out with her saying like, I'm just 26. And then as the song goes on, she gets younger and she's like, what if I'm 15? What if I'm 12? And then at the end, she's like, I'm a baby girl. Like,
and her voice gets like babyish, like through the end. And it kind of is like, we talked in a couple episodes ago, like a listener asked us why like female groups are kind of infantilized. So this is sort of like Hyunna's answer to that question of like, it comes from the top or whatever. These like male producers or male executives are like imposing this idea onto these women, and she's sort of calling them out for how inappropriate that can be.
Yeah, and then her like last single was like extra biting. It was called Lip and Hip. And the lyrics were just like essentially just like being like, I'm really hot. And so I'm hot and I'm young, and I like know I'm hot and young. So like I'm going to wear this little outfit. Like, does it make you mad? Like, it doesn't seem to make you mad because you're still like, her whole message seems to be like, y'all all call me like a slut or whatever, but you keep buying my albums. So like, who's the hypocrite here? Like, oh, she's such a badass. I like love her. Like, but her stage, it's so funny because like her stage persona is just like this incredibly like powerful, like sexy, cool lady. But like in reality, she's very, very silly and goofy and like kind of childlike. And she has a very like silly sense of humor. But like on stage, she's the best. I've said it a million times. And even though she's like 6 years younger than me, I want to be Hyunna when I grow up. Like, she's like a hero to me, and I love her so much. So I just had to like take a moment to gush about Hyunna.
Had to include her in this one.
It looks like next up in our timeline is Sunmi.
Yes, that was one of mine. So Lee Sunmi, she's from she initially debuted with the Wonder Girls. She was with the Wonder Girls from 2007 to 2010, and then she left in 2010 to go to school. She came, and then after that, when she left the Wonder Girls, it was said that she was leaving to pursue her academic career, and there were like no real plans for her to rejoin the Wonder Girls. So when she came back in 2013, it was with a solo debut, an album called 24 Hours, which was an all kill on the music charts. So I'm pretty sure that just means it like went to number one on everything. It was very successful. Her first EP was called Full Moon, and that came out in February of 2014. Peaked at number 2 on the Gone chart, and she was praised for being classy sexy. That was like her image. And then in 2015, she actually came back for the Wonder Girls reboot. She was playing bass on and co-wrote and produced 3 of the tracks, including 2016's Why So Lonely. But she didn't renew the contract with Wonder Girls in 2017. So after that like brief little 2-year reboot for the Wonder Girls, she went back to being solo in February of 2017, signed on with Make Us Entertainment instead of JYP, and came out with Gashina. So like Gashina. Since she's come out with Make Us Entertainment, she's only released 2 singles. She hasn't had an EP or an album, but both of the singles have been very successful. Like the first one was Gashina, which we talked about in our choreography episode because everybody did this dance.
Yeah.
And that song, like, it went to number 1 on the Gone chart. She won Inkigayo 3 times with it. She won Show Champion, M Countdown, and it's like about, and she wrote it herself. It's sort of like about the cynical attitude that you may have after going through a breakup. And so when she released her second single in 2018, January 2018, was called Heroin. And this she explained as kind of a prequel Tagashina. It's supposed to be like the story that comes before it. She also wrote the lyrics for this song herself. It peaked at number 2 and won her several music shows as well. So both of her solo singles that she's come out with since the Wonder Girl reboot have been very successful.
Yeah, I love Sunmi. I've loved everything that she's put out. I feel like she has there's something like kind of beautiful and theatrical about the way that she like goes about things. Like in Full Moon and in Heroine, I think she performed both of them barefoot.
Oh, interesting.
Like in that very like modern dancer kind of way. Like, and yeah, I don't know. She's just like,
yeah, I mean, Gashina is very theatrical as well. Like it's, the choreography like must include a table, and it has lifts and like really fantastic switches between like her female and male backup dancers. Oh, I love the dance to Gashina. Like, do yourselves a favor and watch the choreography video, or like any fan cam where you can see the whole thing, the whole dance. The dance is great.
She also did a very fun gender swap version where her boy and girl dancers switch. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I do know also that with Full Moon, she had to, after her first week of music shows, she had to change the choreography because that song also involves a prop. It has like a bench that she has to sit on, and she does like very cool like legs like crossing over her legs. But then there's a part where she like spreads them very wide. Oh, and that didn't fly with anyone, so she had to change that.
That didn't fly with anyone.
The TV stations don't like things.
I bet Yana liked it.
I'm sure she did. Because they were in the same group for a minute. They're probably friends.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know that for sure, but I wonder if the Wonder Girls are still friends with Hyuna, because I do know that none of 4 Minute talk to her anymore, which is
I know. I feel that. I feel like everything that I learn about Hyuna's personal life, like she doesn't seem to have a lot of girlfriends.
She doesn't, and
that makes me sad. But at least she has Donnie.
She has her Donnie, so it's okay. All right.
Anyway,
Moving on. I think this is another one.
Classy, sexy K-pop lady.
Yes. That's the thing is like, again, to reiterate before we like wrap up, before we move on more, is that I do feel like lady solo artists like do get to do what they want, and people might shit on it, but they eat it up anyway. Like, I feel like when girl groups go sexy or whatever, they get like a lot of criticism, but it seems like all of the female solo artists like to then comment on that and like take it a step further anyway. Like with Hyori from the beginning of the episode, like she went full sexy in 2003. Like people weren't like, that was pretty, out there. And like Hyuna and Sunmi and like IU loves to like make little yeah,
it was female
the girls
solo
are the
artists.
Shit.
There's definitely a trend in them being like very outspoken about the misogyny that is in the industry, and I super appreciate that, because I think like it's widely assumed by, I guess, international fans. Like, we don't speak Korean, so obviously a lot of the things that we are able to like absorb from K-pop, we don't always know what they're saying or whatever. Yeah. Like, we don't always get the translation. So I think there's sort of a general assumption that these women are like, quote unquote, put upon or like oppressed or like being forced into certain roles. So it's so nice to like have these solo artists or these solo breakout idols that kind of come out and are like, hey, we're doing this because this is the image that we want to put out there.
Like, because I think there is like there probably is at least a tiny bit more freedom in going solo, especially in these cases of breakout people where they may have like, proved themselves somewhat to their company as like, hey, I can sell something, like, let me just try it. And it's cool.
And not only are they like selling it themselves or like maybe creating their own image, but many of these artists are also writing and producing their own music.
Yeah. All right. Next person we're going to talk about. It's another one that I let you take the reins on. In 2014, our baby Taemin from SHINee made his solo debut.
Timmy! I know I laughed because you gave me both Big Bangs and both SHINees, which I'm not complaining about, but I just thought it was funny that you did that to me.
I tried to just go every other one, but the way it worked out, like, I don't know.
I got all the boys. So our dear Lee Taemin of SHINee, he debuted as a soloist in August 2014 with a mini album, Ace. It only had 6 songs. The lead single off of it was called Danger. And that is his #1 most watched music video on YouTube. I love that. that album is not great. I'm not gonna lie. But I do like the song Danger, and I really like the song Ace. I don't love all of the songs on that album. There's only 6 of them. But I like those 2.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Ace is written by Changmin, TVXQ. And there's also a song on that album, which I had never heard until today, called Pretty Boy. It features Kai from EXO, and it was written by Jeon Young, and I had to look up the lyrics after I watched this stage. There are many performances of Kai and Taemin doing this. It's hilarious. Almost every single performance is titled like Bestie Showcase or like BFFs on stage. It's really funny. But the lyrics, it's just like Jeon Young describing Taemin's beautiful face and being like literally saying like, I have like pretty lips and like a high bridge nose, my high cheekbones, like my delicate face or whatever. And then it's just like, you think I'm delicate, but pretty, but like, what kind of man do you want? Pretty boy, pretty boy. And it's
so
funny. So highly recommend that. He sort of made it like, I mean, he came from SHINee, so like he was already hugely successful in 2014. Right. So like people were already his fans, willing to listen to whatever he came out with. But Taemin is also like the lead dancer from SHINee, so like the dancing in every piece of his solo work is really the key point. The choreography for Danger was inspired by Michael Jackson. It's very obvious in the choreography. That song peaked at #5. The album itself went to #1. Then he came out with Press It, which is his first full album. That came out 2 years later, February 2016. And he actually wrote 2 of the songs on this album. He wrote the lyrics for Press Your Number and a song called Soldier, which I do not like.
That album. Bruno Mars produced Press Your Number, though. That's like a big Western thing. There you go.
Bruno Mars produced and composed the song Press Your Number, and then Taemin wrote the lyrics for it. There's also a song on the Press It album, which is written by Jeon Young. It's called Already. And this album broke the record. He broke G-Dragon's record for the first most physical sales in the first week of a solo artist. G-Dragon previously held that record with his One of a Kind, and then Taemin broke it with Press It. He actually did a lot of like American work, I should say. He worked a lot in the States for this album. Like both the Press Your Number and Drip Drop music videos are filmed in LA. The choreography like came from some American choreographers, and the backup dancers featured in the music video are all American as well. Then that same year, 2016, he came out with his Japanese debut as a solo artist. It was called Sayonara Hitori, which means solitary goodbye. It was an EP. He worked on it with one of our favorite choreographers, Koharu Sugawara. But Sayonara Hitori is like peak Taemin drama. Like, Taemin is so over the top. This entire music video looks like a cutscene from Final Fantasy. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I do not enjoy it.
I didn't either. It was just like too much drama. Yeah. Same with Flame of Love. It's all just like drama.
Yeah. And he wears like really flowy things, and he does this like style of dance that's more just like throwing himself around. It like almost doesn't even really look like specific choreography. He's just like flailing. But whatever, Taemin does what he wants. Then he had a couple solo concerts after he came out with Sayonara Hitori. The following year, 2017, he did a concert in Japan at the Budokan Arena in Tokyo. And then a couple months later, he did 3 shows in Korea. They were called Off Sick. And so he did stuff from that initial concert. Those 3 shows were in August. And so he did stuff off of like his Japanese albums and then like Press It. And then he did 2 encore performances in October where he previewed a little bit of Move, which was his next and most recent solo album. This came out in October 2017. Move is the full album and the title track is of the same name. This album is fantastic start to finish. With the exception of the Korean version of Flame of Love that is at the end of this album, it is so good. I loved every single one of these songs. It was great. He came out with 3 music videos. I think we've talked about Move before, maybe in our choreography episode. But he came out with 3 different music videos. He released all 3 at the same time for this dance. Because he had a very specific vision with this dance. Like it was choreographed by with Koharu Sugawara, who is the choreographer I just mentioned that did Sayonara Hitori. And so he did 3 different music videos. Like one is just sort of like a regular music video, and then one is with backup dancers. One is just with the choreographer. They're all fantastic. They're all in the rain. But his goal was to like break gender stereotypes with this choreography, and he did a fantastic job with it. He got widely recognized as like being great at what he's doing. It was like a critical smash and success. And he had his one writing credit on the repackage Moving. There's a song called Day and Night, which he wrote himself. But for the most part, like, Taemin is a dancer and a choreographer, so I think like the hand that he plays in his solo work has more to do with the image that he's putting out and with the choreography that he's creating for his music. He's not a lyricist or a composer, so he really doesn't have a lot of writing credits to his name. That's not his strong suit.
No. It's his body is what he's got going for him. But yeah, no, that's great. I have enjoyed most of Taemin's solo work very much. Okay, next up in our list, another person from SM. This is Taeyeon from Girls' Generation. Not Taeyong, who we were talking about before. There's no G at the end. Taeyeon. I know, that's hard. But she was the leader of Girls' Generation and had been doing solo-ish activities like since Girls' Generation debuted. Like, she was doing soundtrack songs and being featured on other people's tracks because she really is a very gifted vocalist. Like, she's a tiny person, but like she can sing. Oh, she can sing.
Oh, her voice is so big. We talked about her in our subunit episode because she was in what is it? Tteso? I don't remember.
I don't remember the order.
TTS.
We said it. TTS.
She had a subunit. She's a great singer.
So then in 2015, she said, like, she told the press or whatever that she finally felt like she was ready. Like, all that time she had been asked, I'm sure, like, since she started doing solo work, like, people have been asking her for like 7 or 8 years, like, solo album, when you're going to put out a solo album. But she didn't feel right about it because like there were 9 people in Girls' Generation and like, I don't know. She's their leader as well, and she's very young, and they call her like the kid leader. Like, so I feel like she felt like she had a sense of responsibility, I guess, and like didn't want to do anything on her own. But then she did in 2015. She put out her first solo album, and the lead track was called I, and it featured Verbal Gent, who's like a rapper that we've brought up a couple of times for featuring on people's albums, and that went to number 2, number 1 on the US world charts. Like, it was a big deal. And it was great. Her other EP from June 2016 was one of my favorite albums of 2016. It was called Why. And it was really good. Like, the lead single is like this very good, like, tropical housey, like, EDM thing, and the music video had a partner dance with Casper in it, and I live for a partner dance.
That choreography is so good. And I mean, that song is really catchy and cute, but the choreography is the best part about it for sure.
And a song I've brought up on the podcast before, Starlight, featuring Dean, is also off of that album, and it was great. And then in February 2017, she the first two were like EPs, and then in 2017 she put out her first like full album, and it was called My Voice. And the lead single on that was Fine, which is like a really good breakup song, like a really good one. 1111 is on Y as on the CD before, and that's another. She writes good breakup songs. I hope that Baekhyun did not do that to her, but I'm guessing that he did. Like that had. I remember the first time I watched, because it's in Fine. Like at a point in the music video, she's like. It sort of breaks the fourth wall, and she like starts crying or whatever, and like someone has to like come up. I don't know if it seems kind of fake, but it's like it like makes it seem like she started crying in the middle of filming, and someone rushes over to talk to her. And I remember we were watching it the first time, and I was like, God, I hope that Baekhyun did not. Like, how did that guy cause this much pain? Like, I
know. I remember when we were like before we cared about EXO. Did you say it was in the Fine music video or in 1111?
I think it's in Fine.
I'm gonna scrub through and look, but before we were into EXO, we were like more supportive of Taeyeon, and we were just like, "Why do you care? Like, who is this Baekhyun? Like this?
I hope you're not
like,
crying.
He broke her heart.
Are you crying over that skinny
like,
EXO boy?
Don't cry over that marshmallow face." Oh yeah, here it is. Don't cry.
Yeah, yep. but and then that album, that My Voice album, actually got released twice. There was a deluxe version that then came out after the fact, and there were a lot of tracks on that album. I'm going to see how many. I remember it being long. The original version had 13 tracks, and the deluxe version had 17. So yeah, she's very prolific in that way. But I've enjoyed like all of her albums. I also love she's gotten like a bit of a reputation recently for being here. First, I'll get the good record part out. She was the first Korean female solo artist to hold a full-scale solo concert while still being an active girl group member. So like that was like a record that she broke, because again, like we said, female artists like get no freaking respect, and like so getting a solo concert for like a girl group member, like it's a big deal that like someone let her do that. But she has like a bit of a reputation recently for cursing a lot at her concerts. Like she loves to curse in English. She has this one song. I can't remember what it's called. It's like not coming to me. But there's like a one part where she says in English, like, "No thanks, baby." But in concert, she keeps being like, "Fuck you, baby." Like she loves to, she like loves screaming curse words. Like it's become a thing that she's been doing adorable. Lately.
Sorry, I got distracted because I started reading the comments on this Fine YouTube video. Oh, no. And there's one person who straight up like time-stamped references to Baekhyun.
Oh no!
Like went through and like analyzed this video so hard. Apparently there's something in this without cookies.
Oh, the Oreos.
The Oreos, the cookie debacle.
Oh boy. But yeah, anyway, Taeyeon, she's a force to be reckoned with as a solo artist. She's a very good singer. And I look forward to other things that she'll do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Next, it's your turn. Our angel Jonghyun.
Jonghyun. Our dear Jonghyun. Okay, so he debuted as a solo artist. So before I talk about him as a solo artist, I should say like Jonghyun has, like we talked about in our SHINee episode, like been a lyricist and composer for SHINee, like pretty much from their beginning. Like he wrote the lyrics for Juliet. That's his first writing credit for SM. He has over 70 credits to his name. They're not all for himself, but they like include credits for SHINee, for himself, and for other artists as well. Like including EXO and IU and Taemin, like I just mentioned. every single song that he has put out as a solo artist is written and composed by himself. Like he was 100% in control of the music he was putting out under his own name. But he did admit to stealing a little bit when he came out with Bass. He just straight up said, like, yo, Timmy, I stole your Ace logo and I made it Bass. So he had like no shame about saying that he just straight up ripped off Timmy. But anyway, so he came out with an EP called Bass in 2015. I remember when this initially came out, I didn't love it, but I listened to it recently and it totally holds up. It's very good. I like
Is
all
Bass
the songs.
the one where he's in the chains and the like?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's what put me off of it, is like, it made me like, it was too like S&M-y and it like made me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I didn't
the
want to
music
watch
video.
it.
So Bass is an EP. It only has a couple songs. It only has like 6 tracks on it, but the title track is called Crazy. And then in parentheses, like Guilty Pleasure. And it's, the chorus is like, she's making me crazy. And the music video in John Young's like typical over the top dramatic flair. Him and Timmy are such drama queens. But he's like shirtless and in chains and like I think he's blindfolded or something. I don't know, like all kinds of crazy shit are happening in that crazy music video. And it's like a little over the top. But anyway, it also came out with one of my favorite John Young songs of all, which is called Deja Vu. It's a collaboration between him and Zion T, and that's what introduced me to Zion T, who I've talked about all the time. He's one of my favorites. Zion T and John Young co-composed that song together. But Bass got him a lot of attention and acclaim because he did write all of the tracks, and because almost every track features a collaboration of an artist that is not an SM artist. So he was like leaving the label to do collaborations, which was, I guess, sort of new. And in January 2015, his Crazy, that music video we were just talking about, is it was the most watched music video in the world in January 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Anyway, so right after that, not right after, but in August 2015, SM did like a concert series called the Agit or Agit. I don't know, AGIT. It was like a concert series. And so that's where he did his first solo concert. It was called The Story by Jean Young. And immediately after that, he released, it's not considered a studio album. It's a compilation album because it's just a collection of different songs that he had like written and recorded throughout the years. It's called The Collection by Jean Young Story OP1. And he did, after releasing that compilation album, he did 12 sold out shows, each one with a different guest, including Onu and Taemin, but also Zion T and IU and a few artists I didn't recognize their names. As he was doing this concert series, he was also on the radio. He was a radio host for a show called Blue Night with John Young. It was like a midnight radio show, and on that show, he started a segment where he would release or like show a song that he had like never released before, like one of his original compositions, and these are the songs that eventually like went onto that compilation album. Then in May of 2016, actually I have to point this out just because I love Jean Young and everything that he's done as a solo artist. Before he came out with She Is, and after he came out with the compilation album, The Collection, he released a book called Skeleton Flower, Things That Have Been Released and Set Free. And this book is really, really cool in that the first part of it is a story, it's like a fictional story of a man and a woman, and like their failed relationship. But the second half of the book, it's like short stories that are titled the names of the songs on this first collection he released. And it's like little short stories that are based on his writing process for each one of those songs. There's currently a fan project that is translating the book into English, but right now it's only available in Korean, but you can buy it on Amazon. So if you read Hangul, then go ahead. Anyway, Then May 2016, he came out with his first studio album, which was called She Is.
Yes.
This album is
2016,
so
the summer
good.
of 2016, I just like will forever remember as like being the best ever, because like this Jonghyun album and the Taeyeon album I just mentioned were constantly being played. Like,
oh my god,
good
this
stuff.
album's so good. It's so good. Went to number 1 on the GON chart, number 4 on the Billboard World charts. The music video for She Is fantastic. It's super colorful, and Jonghyun loves female backup dancers and like and utilized them in the absolute best way for both She Is and White T-shirt, which are the two like lead tracks. So good.
It's so funny, and it's also like very different from the video you were just talking about, where he's like in a respirator and chains, and it's like very emo and very dark. And then all of this She Is stuff was like, it was so specifically colorful that fans noticed that the colors of suits he were wearing perfectly corresponded to the colors of Listerine, like all the flavors of Listerine.
Yes, the like bright blue and the bright purple, and there was like a pink or something. He had like a suit for every Listerine bottle.
So somebody made him a great cake that was like all the Listerine bottles and like all of his suits like perfectly matching. It was
and
very fun.
It was like such a popular meme or whatever that he like was a Listerine bottle, that Listerine sent him like a lifetime supply of Listerine. So like even Listerine knew that he was dressing like their bottles, which is really adorable. She Is a fantastic album. Highly recommend it. March 2017, he left Blue Night. And then in the next month, April 2017, he released his second compilation album, which was called The Collection, The Story, OP2. After he released the second compilation, I mean, this album is so beautiful. It's very heartbreaking to listen to, has a lot of ballads.
Including Lonely with Taeyeon, who we just mentioned. Like that's it's a very good song.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song. Like before this album, Jonghyun's music was like a little bit more upbeat and fun, and then like this compilation album is full of ballads. Like there's one or two jams on there, like there's one that has a beat. Oh, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, there's like one or two songs that are a little bit more driving, but for the most part, it's like very sad ballads. But it is beautiful. I listen to it all the time for a good cry. He released this album in April 2017, and then he actually did 20 concerts for it. Originally, he was only scheduled to do 12, but then he chose to schedule 8 more because fans requested that he do more, and Jong loved his fans. So he gladly obliged. And then that was April 2017. And then in December of 2017, December 9th and 10th, he did his last final concerts. They were called Inspired. And he had, at the time, already finished working on his second studio album, which was called Poet Artist. And he had already filmed the music video for the lead single off of that album. This album was released posthumously in January of 2018. And the profits of that album went to Jonghyun's mom, who set up a nonprofit foundation for those to help those living in difficult circumstances, is how it was described. So I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but that's how it was described. But he is the first SM artist to participate in writing and composing and organizing his own album.
Yeah, he was,
and he played a hand in every single one that he did, from Shiny to his solo work as well. Like I said, he has over 70 tracks to his name.
Yeah, he was really, really prolific. And yeah, all of his solo stuff is really, really great. A lot of it's really sad, but a lot of it is bops. Like he was very versatile in those.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's really like the second collection is really sad, but the rest of his stuff is fantastic. Like,
there are bops on Poet Artist too. Like even it is like not.
Oh yeah,
all
Poet Artist
sad.
is not a depressing album at all. Like, I mean, in the sense that it's not filled with ballads. Like, you might feel depressed listening to it,
I
but
can't. Yeah, our dance teacher plays before our spring for warm up sometimes, and then I just cry while I stretch, and like I didn't ask for that, but
yeah, that is tough. Sometimes the songs like catch me off guard with the emotions that they bring up for me. But I fully enjoy them. Like, I listen to Jeon Young's solo work almost every day. I listen to at least one of his songs. He has a really great variety in his music. And he is such a fantastic singer that, like, I mean, he just has such a unique, not only like literal voice, but also like voice as an artist.
Voice.
Poetic voice in the music that he creates. I feel like he's an untouchable breakout soloist for sure.
Yes. And we miss him so much. Okay. I only have one more so that this episode isn't too long. And like we said, we'll do a quick like blip of others that we passed over, but just like for bringing it to the right now, like one of the most recent like solo debuts that has happened is Chungha. And she was a member of IOI, which was the girl group that was temporarily formed off of the show Produce 101. The contestants who won that show only got to be a group for a year. And then they split into many different groups like Wiki Miki and Momoland and whatever. They've all split up.
I was going to say, doesn't Pristin have
Pristin
some
counts, yeah. But Chungha went solo. Instead of being put into a group, which is like brave, I think. And luckily for her, the 2 singles that she has released since becoming a solo artist both did really well. The first one was called Why Don't You Know? And it's just like pure tropical house, but it's really fun. And then the song she put out this year is called Roller Coaster, and I like that one better, but like they're both good. I think she's great. She just celebrated her anniversary of 1 year of being a solo artist, a couple of weeks ago.
Chungha?
So she's like one to watch out for. I know one of our listeners, Nick, is very into Chungha, so there you go.
This one's for you, Nick.
Out. But yeah, no, breakout solo artists, but like we just wanted to talk about like a few that we like. But I mean, there are so many. Like Guyan from the Brown Eyed Girls like has done some really cool like sexy stuff. Like several members of Super Junior have done solo work.
Woo Young from 2PM has done some great solo work, some highly embarrassing solo work.
Very embarrassing solo work. Jun K and oh my God, why can't I remember his name? The other cute one from 2PM. What's happening to me? No. What is his name?
2AM?
Juno. No, from 2PM.
Oh, from 2PM.
Jun K and Juno from 2PM have also put out solo stuff. Kangta from HOT was a solo artist as soon as HOT was done. I know at least one of the BTSs has put out. J-Hope has put out a solo album.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just so many because it's a thing that Infinite
Tiffany
members have gone
solo album.
Yeah. Tiffany from Girls' Generation, Soyeon from Girls' Generation. I don't know. It's a thing that happens all the time. But we just wanted to talk about a few that we enjoyed and that had enough success because we mentioned earlier when talking about G-Dragon, when someone breaks out of a group, for the most part, they're kind of starting with their group's fans. That's the foot they get to start on, is that the fans of their group are probably going to support the solo album. But I guess that's not always the case. But then also some people I feel like some artists also use their solo debuts as a way to do something really, really different. And sometimes that doesn't always fly with the fans. For example, I love Jackson from GOT7. Like, I love him as a person, but God, I hate his solo music. Like,
his solo music is so painful to me. I wanted so badly to support him and to like love his music, but I honestly like I unfollowed him on Instagram when he was promoting his solo stuff because it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out, but the times when it does, it's really great. So yeah, we just wanted to highlight a few people who've gone solo and done well with it. So yeah, that's that. And we will be back in just a moment with our random game. All right, we are back. And this week we've brought up there are so few co-ed groups and we keep getting them for our random game. So
we'll learn about them all.
Yeah. So this week the group is called Co-ed School. They existed from 2010 to 2013.
Yes, under Core Content Media. This was a 10-member group. They had 6 boys and 4 ladies. And the members of the group eventually were divided into 2 subunits, an all-female group called 5 Dolls, which has like a hyphen instead of an I, and then an all-male group called Speed, which we've brought up before. They're a group that does like crazy acrobatic choreography, and they were like
a circus group.
Like, yeah, they
had an album called Speed Circus.
Yeah, and one of their songs, the choreography relies on wearing Heelys. It's so fucking cool. But both 5 Dolls and Speed have disbanded, so none of these members are associated with Core Contents Media anymore. Yeah. It seems, at least, unless some of them are like trying to do other things. But
I bet at least one of them went on the unit.
Depressing.
I know.
Okay, anyway, as co-ed school, they were together for 3 years. Like we said, they debuted in 2010. They had a debut single called Too Late, and then a song called Beady Bomb, which features Tiara member Ham Eun-jung. What else?
Yeah, I don't know. It sort of looks like when you look at their timeline that they put out this first album as co-ed school, and then the 5 Dolls Speed thing started because they they were seeing 5 Dolls and Speed as subunits to co-ed school.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of only did like one thing as co-ed school.
Yeah, it seems like co-ed school only released this debut mini album, which is called Something That Is Cheerful and Fresh. And then that was in 2010. And after that, in 2011, 5 Dolls debuted, and then in 2012, Speed debuted. And by the middle of 2013, a representative of Core Contents Media said that they had no plans for co-ed to reform again, as both of the subunits had grown and changed their lineups to become independent ensembles. So at this point in 2013, like some of the people in Speed and 5 Dolls are not even some of the original members of co-ed school. So seems like there was quite a bit of a mess happening with these guys.
All right. Well, we're going to watch that video for that song we just spoke of, for the Beady Bum Betty Bum. Yeah. You ready? Yeah. Immediately got loud. Ooh.
Oh, God. They look like they're all in, like, an insane asylum.
Oh. Yeah, they are. They're all acting crazy. Like, this one thinks she's a princess, and this one has a baby doll, and oh, God.
And oh, Lord. One of them is picking flowers. One of them is banging his head against the wall. Oh my God. One of them is in a straitjacket.
This is insane. Like, literally.
Yeah.
Okay, the song is starting.
Whoa. Okay, I have a lot of A lot of questions.
Me too.
Wait, are all 6 boys in this video?
Yes, I think so, because there's like 4 in the middle, 4 girls in the middle.
Oh yeah. They're just not all featured in this. They don't all fit in that shot.
Yeah, they didn't pan wide enough to get them all in.
Okay, so basically what's happening in this video is in the same set where they were all in this crazy hospital room, now they're in very colorful clothes and singing this catchy tune.
Plaid suits and plaid dresses on the
puppy.
girls.
The
girls
are
very
really cute though. They kind of remind me of Orange Caramel.
Yeah, the girls are for sure doing an Aegyo thing, like, and they have like.
It seems like both the boys and girls are because of the like colorfulness of their outfits.
Yeah. Yeah, and for being a co-ed school or whatever, like the girls and the boys are not interacting in any way. Like this is not a partner dance or anything. Like
no,
it's very
separate.
The boys look like backup dancers because they're just like facing away from the girls who are dancing in the middle.
Yeah, and the girls seem to be singing most of the song as well. And they like take turns, like girls in the middle and then boys in the middle. Why don't these co-ed groups like ever interact with each other? I don't get it.
Okay, apparently 2 of them made it to Mix 9, which was YG's like trying to make a group show, but he's like run out of money and he's like not going to be able to debut them. So like he's
That's too bad. I mean, all of these kids are super cute. Even if this song is kind of boring.
Is this the member of Tiara who was supposed to come, who was featured on this track?
Yeah.
She just broke into the hospital to release them, I guess?
No, just to say hey. She's just like blowing kisses and throwing flowers. There's a very key point in this choreography where they seem to like skip almost like a CD skipping, like beep 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 beep. I wonder what this song is about. The hospital concept of it is really upsetting to me. I don't like it.
It's kind of disturbing.
So like this whole musical number was just a delusion of these like 10 patients. Oh my God. And then one of them just coded.
Yeah, that's insane. The lyrics, it looks like there's like that the chorus is beep, 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 try to follow me, be crazy for me, baby. And then the lyrics are like, first time I saw you, my heart was beating like crazy. You're my only escape from the club girls. Only you I want. Like, I don't know. It's just like you make my heart go beep, 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 is I guess all they're getting at there.
Oh, yikes. A lot of comments on this are comparing it to Lady Gaga's Telephone. That's pretty...
Oh, yeah.
It does kind of sound like Telephone.
It really does.
Whatever.
All right. Well, that was co-ed
Somebody
school.
commented this was the song when I was younger. I don't believe you.
Maybe it was the song.
Yeah, it was their song. It was their song. I mean, that was fine.
Yeah, that was fine.
The song itself was fine, but I wonder if any like live performances are better. I don't know.
I just feel really bad for everyone. Like I hate when we get groups like that where it's like, you know, that was like that was 10 people who then they added probably like 6 more to the other groups and like all of them are done. Like their careers are done.
Yeah.
And those
Speed
Boys were really, really talented. There's this crazy video of them because for one of their songs, they did this insane acrobatic move where they like held one of the members by his hands and feet and completely swung him around 360 degrees while another member like jumped over him and did like a backflip. It's insane. They worked really hard and no one gave a shit and it's sad.
I highly recommend, this is not my recommendation for this week, but I highly recommend like watching, like looking up Speed on YouTube because they have an addition, like, for that move that Shannon just mentioned, that, like, human swing that they do, there's a video of them practicing and learning how to do it. And so you, like, see them in a gymnastics gym, like, doing all these different moves in preparation. And the boys are acrobats. Like, they're so impressive. It's utterly depressing that none of them are in a group.
Yeah, it's too bad. Well, okay, on to real recommendations for this week. My recommendation is going to be an entire album, but keeping on the topic of breakout solo artist Sohyun from Girls' Generation. That's Seohyun in English. But she came out with her first solo album in January 2017, and it's called Don't Say No. And it was one of my favorite albums of 2017, hands down, end of story. It's super good, like start to finish. It has like that kind of, it has a bit of that like 90s, like almost, there's like one track that's kind of like Toni Braxton-y. But, like, it's so good. She's a very good singer, and the whole, like, style of the album is, like, really up my alley and, like, just kind of, like, good, slightly 90s sounding, like, funky girl.
Yeah, there's one song that actually, like, intentionally pays homage to the Spice Girl song, Say You'll Be There. And so it has, like the melody of it sounds very similar to the melody of that Spice Girl song. Oh, that whole album is so good. We talked about that album. We brought it up before in our subunit episode when we talked about TTS, because she's the S in TTS.
Yes. And we didn't talk about her much in the episode itself because she's only had one solo album. And like we said, like that's a thing that happens a lot, is someone will break out, put out their one album, and it's cool. But we were trying to talk about people who have had significant solo careers. And Sohyun is an amazing she does a lot of musical theater. Like, she's very, very talented. But anyway, I just want to say, listen to her debut album, Don't Say No. It's very, very good.
And she is one of the songs features Eric Nam.
Yes, she has a song with Eric Nam on it called Hello, and it's really, really good. So yeah, that's mine.
My recommendation, kind of in theme of being very long, is a 45-minute video of one of Jonghyun's solo concerts. SM did a concert series, like I said, called the Agit, A-G-I-T. I do not know how it's supposed to be pronounced. But one of them, I mean, Jonghyun did many of these concerts, but one of them is on YouTube. And the reason that I'm recommending it, I mean, he sings like I think there's like 6 or 7 songs that he sings in that video, but he sings my favorite of his compositions, which is not a Jonghyun or SHINee song. It's actually an EXO song. It's called Playboy. I love that song. I love it when EXO does it. I loved it when Suho did it as a solo. I love it when Jonghyun sings it on his own. There's a lot of videos of Jonghyun doing this in concerts. Like, there's one, like, poor audio quality, but it does include the whole song, and it's, like, him on stage. He has, like, sexy ladies. He's sitting in an armchair. But I'm recommending this entire concert because Jonghyun is fantastic, and you should watch him.
Yeah, and since the video is like a little bit hard to find, there's a lot of Korean in the title, I will link it. And where I will link it, time for plugs, is on our Tumblr, which is amakpoppod.tumblr.com. I put all the links for everything we talk about every week. So if you need to easily find those things, I put them there for you. And then we are on Twitter and Instagram at amakpoppod. And if you want to send us an email, amakpoppod@gmail.com. And just a reminder to rate, review, and subscribe if you listen on an app that allows for rating, reviewing, or subscribing. It's very good, and it helps us climb the charts so that more people can find the podcast. So we appreciate all of that and all of you so very much.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with, I don't know, something
a
good.
brand new topic.
A brand new
to
topic.
be determined.
To be determined. All right. Well, talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Chonghyun, you're our inspiration.